You're not hearing me. You're not hearing me. Do I have to say? Do I have to go over this again? Like I said, Sochan was so bad, they didn't even put him in the game. That's how bad he was tonight. He was so bad that Miss Johnson said, "No, I can't play. You're just too bad. We're gonna have to trade you." This man has 0 points. I'm gonna go through his stats, okay? I'm gonna go through his stats. 0 points, 0 assists, 0 rebounds, 0 free throws because he wasn't physical enough to get to the line tonight. 0 3-point attempts, okay, because he can't shoot, right? 0 field goal attempts, just in general, because he was just too scared to shoot. He's too soft. Did I say he has 0 assists? I probably said that already. 0 steals, 0 blocks, played no defense. 0 turnovers is good. 0 personal fouls is good. And he had a plus minus of 0. Absolute trash. You made your point, Clan? What's that he should be traded? You guys were right. You guys were right. He's absolute garbage. Absolute trash. Absolute trash. He let Giannis get 25. He let Dame Lillard get 26. He had Brook Lopez shoot 5 for 11 threes. I mean, good God. Can you even play the guy? You know? Can you even play him? Wow. Wow. All good? No, Larry, that's not good. He got to go. He got to go. I'll trade him for anything. I'll trade him for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You know, the peanut butter and jelly, that's too much. Just give me half of a peanut butter sandwich. I don't even eat the bread. Just put the peanut butter on the palm of my hand. Just one scoop, half a scoop, teaspoon even. That would be that's what I would trade Sochan for. Absolute garbage. Terrible. We're not trading Sochan, and you know it. After this performance tonight, I don't see how else you know. I don't see how else you couldn't trade Sochan for LeBron. Like he's worth that. LeBron is 60. LeBron at 80 years old is not worth a Sochan trade. Like they would take that. Get out of here. Anyways, yeah, this game was actually quite awful, and I've seen some really weird takes around the. Okay, all right. So I don't think we really have to like go into depth about this game. The Spurs just got their butts handed to them. I mean, just kind of from the gate, right? From the get-go. I didn't feel good even in the first quarter. It felt like we weren't controlling the pace. It really did seem like a game in which the Bucks were just gonna take over, which they did. So obviously, the big thing that I think was really missing, you know, jokes aside, is Sochan. Now, this doesn't mean that Sochan playing means that we win the game, okay? Because the Spurs overall played so poorly that yeah, we might have still lost. But I do think that Giannis not having a body on him, really. I mean, we had Barnes on him, we had Keldon on him. I mean, it wasn't pretty. And even if Giannis would have still had a pretty decent game, it would have been a little bit harder. A lot of times, Sochan will give you those second chances off the boards, just how he's fighting for those box outs. And even Dame Lillard, right? Like we didn't really have a body for him. He went 8 for 13, so he had a basically perfect game. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. So just overall, you know, we didn't have an extra body out there, and I think that having the strength of Sochan would have helped. But I don't think that that's what lost us the game, right? Like I said, I don't think Sochan wins and all of us. I mean, he plays, and all of a sudden we're the perfect team and we're doing all this. It's a few things that stand out that I really didn't like. Okay, and I don't want to say I'm worried because I'm not. Okay, the Bucks are just a better team than us. All right, they're 12-7 at home. Whatever, you know, we're not that great away right now. But I will say this. Okay, there's a couple things that I do think that needs to at least be on our radar. That and I can try my best to give some type of explanation of at least what I think might be going on when it comes to this. So first and foremost, one thing that stands out. I saw some people like, what about Keldon? What about Keldon? Keldon had a fine a fine game offensively, but guys, it just wasn't. It wasn't great. That's not the one thing I wanted to stand out that stood out to me. But quite a few of his scores were also kind of in garbage time, right? The Spurs were down significantly. It just didn't really matter at that point. But offensively, Keldon did fine. Defensively, still bad, but hey, it is what it is. He wasn't the only person that was bad tonight defensively. So, with that being said, but these are the things that stood out to me, okay? First and foremost, Vic. This is inexcusable. I never want to see this happen again. I never want to see him go take 10 shots again. I do not understand that for the life of me, what happened there. And I saw some people posting on Twitter, and this is the thing, man. I feel like when you have like, and you know, I have biases. We all have biases, right? Like we all do, right? Like you guys have biases when it comes to certain players. I have my biases. I like certain types of players. I like high IQ players. I will always gravitate towards those high IQ, good defenders. Like those are the ones I love. Kyle Anderson was one of my favorite players. Derek White was one of my favorite players. Obviously, Jeremy Sochan's one of my favorite players. Vic, right? Like I love those players. But at the same time, I think that our biases can go a little too far. I saw quite a few people tweeting out that Vic didn't get the ball because no one gave him the ball, which is absolutely ridiculous. That he attempted 10 field goal attempts because the team wouldn't give him the ball. I don't even know what level of delusion we're at that point when that can't even be Wemby's fault at all. It seemed like Wemby was really just moved off his spots continuously. And I'm going to talk about coaching in a minute because that kind of bothered me. But like, I don't think it had anything to do with teammates not giving him the ball. Vic was giving up the ball quite often, right? Like he was pushed off his spots. He wasn't necessarily demanding the ball. And even if that's true, if they're not giving him the ball, you're Victor Wembanyama. You don't think Vic can just tell his teammates, talk to him on the sidelines and say, give me the ball more, I'm going to shoot more? Like he could just say that. He could say that to a coach. He could just do that. So there is no like, oh, they need to just give Vic the ball more. Like, what are we talking about? Victor Wembanyama is a superstar. Any superstar can demand the ball and shoot more than 10 shots, right? Seems a little bit more deliberate to the point where Vic just was uncomfortable. Right, he looked a little gassed as well, but just uncomfortable. Just pretty bad. How was today's shot selection? I'll be honest. I know it's a lot of threes that went up. At least it felt like a lot of threes. Yeah, 52 threes, but like they were good shots. They weren't bad shots. I was actually disappointed in Julian and Devin in that regard, because I was like, oh my goodness, guys, like you're getting some good shots. Both of them went 3 for 9. Yeah, I wish they would have done better than that. But yeah, so this is all right. So when you talk about him not getting the ball, all right, that's one thing. Now this is the thing that I want to talk about as far as coaching. So I know that we looked at a clip not too long ago in which Vic basically said, should I just go to the clip? I should probably just go to the clip because you guys probably don't know what I'm talking about. But he was basically talking about adjustments last game. And he said that the Spurs, he feels like they're not making enough adjustments. Now, he did a real good job of not necessarily like pointing the finger or anything like that. Like he definitely put it on himself as well, you know, as that press conference went along. But there is a segment of it where I was like, yikes. And, you know, when I first heard it, I wasn't that crazy about it. Let's see if we can find it. I think were we on Twitter when we saw that? It might have been on Spurs. Was it Spurs reporters? Is he the only one that posted that? Let's see. I think it's this one. Let's see.
Score in the fourth quarter. Is there what do you see there and what maybe needs to change?
So I think teams adapt during the game, and maybe we don't. You know, we don't adapt enough. And but it's definitely something I'm gonna work on. You know, predicting the adjustments of the defense, because right now, I mean, for sure we need to have more than one plan. You know, 'cause they're gonna have more than one.
So Wemby, I don't think. Okay, so let me at least talk about this for a minute. I don't think Wemby would ever do a press conference in which he throws the like coaching staff or anybody like that under the bus. Okay, I don't necessarily think he'd do that. I think that he genuinely thinks, listening to this, I genuinely think that he's like, I can handle this. And if you think back of when he played with, and you guys probably don't know this, but when he went to the French team, right? They were not good at all. And Vic has talked about how he was in charge of everything. He was in charge of the nutrition. No lie here, right? I even asked some people that were really really watch the French games closely, and knew all the background and everything. He was in charge of the nutrition. He was in charge of who they brought on the team. He was in charge of, a big part of the game plan. He was in charge of everything. So him turning that French team around the way that he did is insane. I'm not talking about the Olympics. I'm talking about before he got to the NBA. So I could very well see Vic genuinely thinking that it's his job to make sure that he has a plan B, plan C, plan D for what the defense is going to bring. But it does worry me a little bit that we aren't making adjustments, because the Spurs aren't making that many adjustments. Like, one thing that stood out to me in this game, actually a lot of these games, honestly, is that the Spurs aren't really running many actions anymore to make sure and assure that Wemby does get the ball, right? Or that we play through him. Sometimes it's like we're passing the ball around, Wemby gets the ball, he gets moved out of spot, it's passed back out, and it's just that's kind of it, right? Like, who's going to save us? And I really don't like that. Now, luckily for the Spurs, our defense is good enough that many games, that'll be totally fine. Our defense turns the offense, will be totally fine. But games like this, where it's obviously a superior team, you got to be able to slow things down, right? And get Vic in those actions and make something happen. Another thing, too, that kind of bothered me, and I'm going to give an explanation for this, so I'm not just going to say, like, Mitch Johnson is absolute trash or whatever. So another thing that I noticed is teams will go on runs, and I don't know how long it takes before the Spurs will just call a timeout. They do not call timeouts in good situations. And even last game against the Bulls, when they went on that run, I thought the best possible thing we could have done, because everyone was making mistakes, everyone got a little full of themselves, right? Like, it was very obvious. People say don't use the excuse of being a young team. They are a young team. They are. I don't know what else to tell you. So they got a little full of themselves, got ahead of themselves, and when they started making all of those brain dead mistakes, coach should have just called timeout, sat them down, and threw in Malachi, Blake, and Mamu. I don't think that the Bulls are, no offense to the Bulls, but I don't think that they were talented enough where if we bring in that type of energy, because those three, they're hungry, they haven't played, they're going to play with a lot of energy, that they will be able to just steamroll that group, right? I think that, now this is my explanation for it. This is why I think Mitch Johnson is doing this. I think that he has become way too comfortable with what the plan was, prior to Pop's, not departure, but prior to the stroke, right? Like, I think that he is relying a little too heavily on the best possible lineups that we can have out there. And I don't necessarily think, this is why I haven't criticized him that hard, is because Mitch Johnson is not this isn't necessarily his program, and I think that he is really trying to ride that line between interim coach and head coach. And I said, I don't know like the ins and outs of what's going on or anything like that. I don't think that there's crazy turmoil, but it does bother me a little bit. And I'm sitting back and I'm like, maybe it's time for the Spurs to be a little bit more like transparent. Maybe they have been, but like more transparent as far as will Pop be back or not. At least if you want to have this season go a little bit more consistently, or allow Mitch Johnson to start to experiment a little bit more, because I just think he's not comfortable with experimenting yet. Like, he doesn't know, right? I miss Pop's early timeouts already. Yeah, it's like, and that probably won't be Mitch Johnson's style, right? But like right now, I'm not seeing many adjustments. I'm just not. It's like we're solely relying on our veterans, pretty similar to before we got Wemby, right? was it the season when I think it's the season we traded Derek White. Or was it the season we traded Johnson? I don't remember. Very similar to a few years ago where we just solely relying on vets right now. It's like this game, I just felt like it was the Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes show, right? Like, please save us. And I don't think that that's a good way to go about these games. So I just think that right now, Mitch Johnson is very comfortable with the best possible players on the court. And I'm sorry, as much as we can talk trash about Zach Collins or whatever. I mean, I haven't really talked that bad about Zach Collins, but him only playing 3 minutes, I don't understand. I don't understand some of these lineups. I don't understand any of it. I was just like, why is Zach Collins not on the court at all? You know? And I know he's not the best player in the world, but Bassey isn't our savior. It's not like Bassey played well. Zach is Zach. Well, yeah, but like, we're not experimenting at all anymore. You know? We're not experimenting at all anymore. And the whole idea that, like, a lot of people are like, oh, well, the Spurs just need more shooters. Obviously we do, right? But that's not something you're going to fix right now. If we're talking about in season right now, the Spurs' identity is their defense, right? I didn't understand a big chunk of these games where Steph Castle barely saw the court. I don't understand a big chunk of these games where we're not throwing in Blake Wesley, who does have quite a bit of energy defensively. We can say what we want about him. I think that his decision making isn't the best, but I mean, you can get some type of utility out of him a little bit. You can get some utility, and you want scoring. If we want more 3-point shooting, I mean, there was one lineup out there where we had Devin Vassell running the offense, and we had Trey Jones, Julian Champagnie, Bassey, and who else? Who else was out there? I always forget the last player. Was it Keldon? I don't know, but it was virtually no shooting. Like, yeah, Julian Champagnie, but like virtually no shooting, especially with Devin Vassell's Bulls right now. Why not throw in Malachi? Why not? Why not? You know, I just don't get it. Clan, pray for us in LA, brother. They are talking about canceling the game Saturday. New fire in Hollywood Hills. It made it to Hollywood Hills, about 10 minutes from Staples. Dude, that's horrible. Yeah, that's horrible, bro. Yeah, I hope you're okay, man. Yep, sad. Yeah, that's horrible. It's climate change, man. That's terrible. Bro, I really hope you're safe. Yeah, we hope you're safe, Larry. So hold on, I saw something. Yes, Malachi can play spot minutes. Larry said that. Yeah, dude. Like, I don't look. We don't have the best roster in the world, right? But what I don't like is getting too comfortable with players. Like, that's the one thing that we would kind of get on Popovich about a little bit, right? But even Pop would experiment here and there. And I just feel like right now that's what's going on, is that the coaching staff is really trying to stay true to, the way Pop did things. And that's a tough situation to be in if you're Mitch Johnson, you know? So I'm not sitting back saying like, oh, he's the worst coach in the world. You know, I think that if he knows that this is his team going forward, that, you know, he'll start throwing his ideas out there a little bit more, right, and rolling with it. But even yet and still, some of these decisions, I still don't get it. Even if this is Pop's team right now, I don't get not calling timeouts when the opposing team obviously is going on a run. That second quarter, bro. I don't even know. Hold on. Now, I might make myself look silly here if I'm wrong, but I think it was the second quarter, and it was a long time in which we just didn't call a timeout. And it's like, dude, you got plenty of them. Use them. You don't have them forever, you know? All right, so let's see. So we challenged. It was a timeout, but we challenged something at the beginning of the second, and then Bucks called a timeout at 7:38. That was it. That was it. Guys, I'm sorry. That's inexcusable, man. This is where I don't understand. This is why I don't understand. Look at this. 70. So it was 37-38. And we allowed it went all the way. Guys, this is crazy. Not calling timeout during this situation. I hope you understand what I'm saying here. 37-38. Spurs down by 1. And you allowed this run all of the second quarter, basically 46-65. What coach doesn't call a timeout when it's within 1, and then by the end of the quarter it's within 20? How do you not call a timeout? You understand what I'm saying? Is there a chance the coaching staff is tanking? No. We'll lose games without the coaching staff tanking. No. I don't understand that. Like I said, I do think that they're comfortable with the way Pop did things, but you don't let the entire second quarter. We had timeout. You don't allow the entire second quarter to go by. You get within 1. The Bucks go on this crazy of a run. You blink your eye. They scored 20. I'm sorry, did I say 20? 30. They scored 30 points to your 10. You don't let that happen. It's because Mitch knows this team lacks talent. You got to call a timeout. Guys, this is bare minimum, right? I'm not sitting here I'm not going to sit here and pretend I could be an NBA coach. Obviously not, right? None of us, not me, no one in the chat, none of us would make any great coaches, all right? We would go 0 for 82, okay? We would go 0 for 155. None of us would do well. But I do know that this is bare minimum, that when a team goes on a run, you call a timeout. Oh gosh, I got hiccups so bad. That's obvious. That's bare minimum, right? That's if you have open shot, you shoot it. It's that simple. Bare basics, man. So obvious. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So coaching wise, I thought that this game and last game was pretty bad, right? Yeah, these teams go on these runs and you have so much faith in the lineup that you have out there that you think they're just going to figure it out. And it's no, they're actually not going to just figure it out. You got to we need to call a timeout. They'll get it together. Actually, no, they're not. They're not going to just get it together. Don't just let them sink out there. Hiccups. Yeah, hiccups. We got to realize he's growing along with the team. This is bare. Calling a timeout when an opposing team is going on a run is bare minimum. That's not something where it's he's growing with the team. Mitch Johnson is a good coach. He's coached before, right? I mean, not on this level, but he's coached. I miss Coach Timmy. Okay, Timmy was a really bad coach, so let's not do that. I actually like Mitch Johnson's coaching generally, but the timeout stinginess is unacceptable. Yeah. No, and that's the thing. He's had plenty of instances where I thought that he has been a good coach, right? He's done good. It's just this right here. No, dude. And it's just something that worries me. That's all. It worries me a little bit, a small percentage. But this game and last game in the fourth, I just don't get that, man. You got to call a timeout, switch out some guys. It's not like it worked every single time, but Pop will call a timeout, throw in some guys, right? Might not even make sense. Don't care. You're playing like trash, right? That's the baseline. if you're playing with lack of energy, if you're making foolish mistakes that we talked about 50 million times up to this point, you get off the court. Bare minimum, let someone else play. Bare minimum. You're going to get back on that court, okay? I'm not crazy. You know, Pop isn't crazy. I'm not crazy, right? You're too talented not to be. Well, you gotta draw a line. Like, nope. You going to play like that? Go sit down. You know? Mitch is a Vassell fanboy. He is his number one. No more explanation. No, I mean, Devin Vassell deserves these minutes. Like, as far as talent wise, he definitely deserves minutes to be on the court. And I don't disagree with Vassell taking 17 shots. I'll be honest. The only thing I disagree with, and that can't happen, is Steph Castle, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Julian Champagnie, taking more shots than Vic. No one should take more shots than Vic, other than maybe Devin Vassell. But seriously, I really do mean that. No one should take more shots than him. That's the only thing I disagree with. Talent? Yeah, we do need more talent, obviously. You do need more talent. But you have to give the team, you know, more of a chance. You have a 0% chance with this. Like, we talk about talent, right? You're missing Sochan, which is a really good defender that you could have put out there. And you know, you got a 5-10% chance of winning a game against the Milwaukee Bucks. Just a better team than us. You know, it's not like they're world beaters right now, but they're definitely a better team than us. You have a 10% chance of beating them if you allow them to go on a 20 run and not call a timeout, or if Victor Wembanyama doesn't take as many shots as, you know, Devin or Castle, or that's just inexcusable. Julian Champagnie. Maybe I'll accept Keldon, but no, I don't want Keldon taking more shots than Wemby. And if that's the case, you have to make that adjustment in game, run some actions, make sure Wemby, you know, can get in a more comfortable spot to make something happen. But it literally just felt like we were just free fall, man. Just felt like a free fall out there. Like a rec game. No timeouts during a rec game. That's what it was. The whole second quarter was just a rec game. Bucks didn't have a chance. Bucks not going to call a timeout. What they need to call a timeout for? I never said that Patty the baddie. He said, I wish Clan would be real and not stick up for Sochan. He's not that guy who's going to drop 27. I never. If you guys been watching me long enough, have I ever said that? My whole thing about, and maybe you're new, so like, I'll cut you some slack. I've always said that I don't think Sochan will ever put up the statistics where people are going to sit back and say, whoa, he's so great, he's incredible. Like, every now and then he will. Every now and then he'll give you those like really crazy scores, right? We saw it a little bit his rookie year. We saw it a little bit last year. Like, he's capable of doing it, but I wouldn't rely on him for that. I rely on him for being a connector, getting the defenses off guard, being a really good rebounder, you know, being a good slasher. Like, that's what I expect out of him, right? But most importantly, the defensive part and the connector part. Like, I think those are the two things that he does very well, right? So that's it. That's it. I'm not expecting him to go out there and no. In the long scheme of things, no, he's not going to be our second option. I don't want him to be our second option. He's not going to be our third option. He's not that. And I never once, well, I don't know. I don't know if I said it maybe when he was a rookie. I don't know. But I'll tell you my thoughts now. I don't think Sochan is going to be a star. Like a superstar, right? I don't think that. I think that he'll probably make an all-star at some point in his career, because you're playing with Victor Wembanyama, you're being successful, and you don't have to have the craziest stats, right? If you're successful, you're winning games, you're a big part of that, you can end up being an all-star. So I think that might happen, but I don't think that he'll be a superstar. I do believe in Castle more than I do Sochan as far as like star level. But at the end of the day, I think that he is very important to what we're doing. And in today's NBA, you need like 2 stars maybe, but Sochan won't be that. Sochan will never be an all-star. Stop it. He could very well end up being an all-star. Yes. That's it. I mean, it definitely can happen. That's what happens. Some guys don't even have the greatest of stats, and they can end up being an all-star just from virtue of being on a team with a superstar, winning a championship, going deep into the playoffs, being a big part of that. Yeah, you'll get an all-star nod. It happens. I don't even think he'll have a lot of them. But it is hard. It is difficult to get the all-star. I mean, I guess it's always been pretty difficult because Manu Ginobili only has like 2, right? How many times have Manu been an all-star? He only has 2. That's crazy. Yeah. Chemistry players? Yeah, chemistry players. Please don't compare Sochan to Manu. Okay, you gotta chill out. Jeez. I don't even... Did I do that? Did I compare Sochan to Manu? Good God, man. You people. You Sochan haters on a whole nother level. It's weird. Can't say anything. Our transition... I mean, I literally just said, oh, yeah, he's not going to be a superstar player and or maybe even a star. Maybe he could be an all-star. And then you're like, yeah, don't you ever compare... Good God. I think Manu Ginobili was a star, so... You gotta chill with Sochan being an all-star. That's crazy. I don't think it's that crazy. He could be an all-star. That's fine. It's not that crazy. If the Spurs are madly successful and they're going on to a dynasty run and they're winning championships, Victor Wembanyama is a big part of it. Everyone knows, and Sochan's getting more recognitions for the defense that he brings. He could very well end up being an all-star. It's not that crazy to think about. He could get a all-star appearance, yes. But I don't think that he'll be a star, or maybe, I don't know. But I definitely don't think he's a superstar. He'll be a superstar. I don't believe that. Like Patrick Beverley coming out and saying like, "Oh, he gives me the vibes of Kawhi Leonard." Like, I think that's fine, but like, I won't go that far. And I love Sochan as a player. Manu should have had way more All-Star appearances. 2 is insane. 2 is absolutely insane. The amount that he gave up for the team, man, coming off the bench. Good God. Manu Ginobili was like one of the best players in the NBA for a big chunk of his career, in my opinion. But anyways. Yeah, that's a Chandler, I'm sorry. That's a really, I think that's a really ignorant take. Sochan would be our 10th guy on the team if we're making championship runs. Sorry. Yeah, that's a very ignorant take. Sochan is a phenomenal defense. Like, he's obviously going to get minutes on a championship. Like, that's crazy. I don't even know if I need to. That's crazy. You're highly underestimating the talent there. Why do fans hate Sochan but die for Steph Castle? Because Steph Castle is the new toy to play with, you know? Like, he's the new kid on the block. It's exciting. That's all it is. And I love Steph Castle. Like I said, I think that he'll eventually be a star, but like, that's what it really is. And it's also the fact that the narratives got so out of line last season as well. Like last season, it turned into like Sochan is jealous of Wemby. What's going on here? He won't pass him the ball, you know, and it just really hurt. I think the reputation that certain fans have towards Sochan. So it doesn't really matter how much effort we put behind this channel of like showing the chemistry, showing the advanced analytics, showing where he stands as far as defensive stats and, you know, all of that good stuff. It doesn't really matter. Or even bringing up, you know, how close he is to Wemby and stuff. It didn't really matter. The narrative was way too far. So I think that people have like an idea of him, so they hyper fixate on things. And I think a lot of people don't actually watch the games either. I think that they'll watch it somewhat, or maybe watch the highlights and then go to the stats, you know. like watch the game, having a beer, talking to their friend or whatever, not actually paying attention, just kind of getting the vibe, just a feeling. And then after the game, looking at the stats and saying, he had 9 points, he's trash. It's like, that's all they saw. Oh, man. I think that's what it is. I mean, even the shooting thing is like, he can't shoot. And it's like, good God, bro. What does he have to do? He increased his shooting percentages by 10% since last season. He was finishing very poorly. But yeah, he's shooting 10% better than he was last season. So, I don't know. Obviously, he got to work on his three-point shooting. But, geez, man, I look at this roster and lots of players have to work on lots of things. So I don't really get why he's the one that gets the crappy end of the stick. It's not like he's been with this team for many years. I mean, he's in his third season. I don't get it. He's 21. I don't get it. Yeah, I don't get it. Vic got to work on his strength, right? He got to work on getting to his spots and finding the go-to move. Devin Vassell. I don't know about Devin. I thought Devin had it figured out. I don't really know what's going on. I think he's just in a slump right now. Obviously Steph Castle got to work on his three-point shooting and, sometimes decision making. Lots of players got to work on lots of things, but for some reason he's the one that everybody wants to trade off, even though he's very important to his team. Jeremy's unusual jump shot has been going in lately. Yeah, his shoot, like I said, I'm not lying to you guys. His shooting percentages, his field goal percentage, that is, has gone up 10% from last year. His 3-point percentage went down like a couple percentages or whatever. Not great. Definitely got to do better. Definitely has to develop a better, more reliable 3-point shot. But he's also taking like 2 less shots than he did last season, or maybe a shot less. Hold on, actually, I'll just bring it up. We'll bring this up and then we'll get out of here. Here we go. I don't have to just say it. I can just show it. I think he's shooting 1 less. Yeah, 1 less. 1 less 3. And actually, yeah, 3-point percentage went down a couple. He's not the worst 3-point shooter on the team. That's Castle and Keldon. Castle and Keldon are actually statistically some of the worst outside shooters in the NBA. I think Steph Castle right now is one, and this is not me saying, oh, they're you guys know how I feel about Keldon, but this isn't me saying like Castle is like worst player ever or whatever. Like, no, he still has value. Obviously, you still should give him minutes, even if he can't score. Not everybody has to be Steph out there, but yeah. And then field goal percentage, you can see it went up 10%. Well, actually, I lied. It's 9% because I noticed the 43.8. So it went up about 9%. Minutes went down 1 minute. Points went up a couple. Steals are the same. Blocks are the same. Assists went down 1, which makes sense. Rebounds went up 2. And this is just basic stats. And then if you look at the advanced analytics, like how does he play, or how do opposing players play against him, he's actually pretty doggone good defensively. So it's all BS. And once the Spurs are winning and they're back on top and they're looking good or whatnot, everybody will come back and be like, oh, Sochan's actually great. Yeah, okay. All right, let's end this segment. This went on long enough. Never want to see that again, though. Never want to see Wemby only take 10 shots. Let's not let that happen again.